Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing the Lange Sohne 1815 in yellow gold. This model, 40 millimeters, launched in 2009. As you see it here, it is yellow gold. The dial is made of sterling silver and then galvanized this silver white color. It is 9.3 millimeters thick by 48 millimeters lug tip to lug tip with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. And you can see on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, it's a good match. It's a full-size dress watch. 40 millimeters is not 1940s, 50s, 60s. That would be 32 to 36 millimeters. This is more of a contemporary broad saucer-like profile that's wide with a handsome aspect ratio and an objectively thin profile with a domed bezel. It fits easily underneath the cuff, and I can recommend it for a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. Taking a look at the hardware and the software, you can see that the strap is black, semi-gloss, large rectangular scale alligator leather, a folded edge, a monotone stitch, calfskin on the bottom. You can see it is a brand new Lange factory strap. The buckle is a smart piece. You can see it's polished, branded, and faceted outboard. It has this little retaining bar inside, so if you're like me and you're going to use the smallest hole of the strap, you have a small wrist, you might even punch a smaller hole. That it can be tough to remove a watch that's strapped down tight. That little retaining bar prevents the watch from getting pinned on the pin. There's also an elevated bridge, which is an ingenious little refinement. Not everyone does this, but you can see how, because of the elevated bridge, the buckle actually embraces the strap, and the strap sits inside the buckle rather than adding thickness and stacking up on the wrist. The case is distinctively Lange. As you can see, the lugs are stepped out, as Lange lugs tend to be. There's a contrast between the satin mid-case and the polish of the lugs, the case back, and the bezel. The bezel has a vertical portion and a domed portion. The crown, as you can see, is Lange branded, and then the dial is simple. 3 hands, Arabic numerals. When you see Arabic numerals on a Lange, it's the 1815 collection. You have a railroad track outboard. Notice that there's a little flourish at the 4 corners, outboard of 12, 3, 6, and 9. The hands at center are fired blue. The cannon pinion, as well as the base of the hands, mirror polished. A slightly sunken subregister with a concentric pattern. And remember, the dial is sterling silver AG 925, so it's gold outside and silver inside. Speaking of which, inside, we have caliber L0511, manufacturer movement, manual wind, protected down to 30 meters. The watch is a 55-hour power reserve that beats away at 21,600 vibrations per hour. A 23 joule movement. You can see it is adjusted in 5 positions, which is the chronometer standard. It also features hacking or stop seconds, and you can note that the balance is effectively free sprung, since the majority of the adjustment is done with the screws on the balance, and the actual stud holder is anchored and fixed. You can also see it is beautifully finished with a number of pocket watch motifs. You have the fired blue screws, but take note, they also include black polished case clamp screws and then screws used in the adjustment mechanism. Those are black polished, so you have polished screws and fired blue screws both. You also have black polish on the swan's neck regulator and the cap to the escape wheel, a 3/4 style bridge reminding you of the heyday of East German watchmaking in Saxony during the days of F.A. Lange and his progeny. The 3/4 style bridge here evoking those watches. We have glasuta stripes. They're not Côte de Genève because we're in Germany. And then we have golden chaton that fix the pivot. So these are little gold cups that hold the jewels, and then those in turn are held in place by blued screws. The reason for this is because in the pocket watch era, you could not precisely press a jewel into a bridge or a plate made of this nickel copper zinc alloy, commonly known as German silver. So the precision chaton would be made of gold. That would then be attached to the jewel, which in turn would be fixed in using screws. You can also see that there's elaborate freehand engraving and a sort of banknote scrolling. This is done manually freehand with a burin by artisans who work for Lange and only finish these parts. You can also see, although there aren't many edges because there aren't many bridges, the ones that are there have a mirrored bevel as good as anything you'll get in Geneva. That is Patek grade anglage, and then of course there's engine turning on the base plate. The watch is beautiful on both sides. You wish you could wear it upside down, but it's also simple and striking from the dial side, and I think it draws strength from that simplicity. So reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details of this Lange Sohne 1815.